Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you all for being here. So I have a lot to discuss with you today, and I hope by the end of it I'll be able to pull it all together. First off, we are in a period of Mercury retrograde. And the end of the retrograde started on February 26th and it will end on March 20th. This is the time in which communication, the ability to electronics and signing contracts, all these things are not recommended, or rather they are stalled. There is a lot of miscommunication because when a planet is retrograde, it appears in the sky that it's going backward, and at which moment the influence or the positive influence seems to go in reverse. Having said this, on February 28th, and this is going to continue for the rest of this week. We are now in March 1st. It will continue until the end of this week. We are entering an extraordinary planetary alignment. And particularly on the night or at either sunrise or sunset on the 28th, you could actually see it visibly with the naked eyes. If you are going either at dusk or at sunrise, you could actually see 6 planets in the sky that are visible. Going from where the sun would rise, you would see Mercury, then Venus. Mercury is the closest to the sun. So you have the sun, you would see, but it's not a direct line, it's like a curve. But you would see Mercury, Venus, then the Earth, which we are standing on, but we're observing it from there. Then you would see Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And Neptune is the most outer planet. Well, Pluto is the most outer planet, but it's very far away. So we are the indication of this incredible alignment is that light is emitting, coming from the sun, is now traversing directly through this axis, all the way across and going outside of the solar system. It is an extraordinary opportunity for those of us who are doing hard work to have all kind of stuck energies that were blocking our growth and evolution, blind spots, to be completely unsealed and broken, glass ceiling to be removed, Zerapin to be shattered, so that we could actually move on the other side of it. And for that to happen for this week, you have to maintain your spiritual practice very tight. If at any other time you were not doing it, this is the time for you to really do it. Because this alignment will blow wind behind your sail and allow you to ascend and to elevate into uncharted territory. I know that several of my students, it's not just one, several, have reported what is experiences that are actually clear indication of the beginning of Ascension. Okay? And if you remember, in the channeling from the Galactic Regent Council, they had said at the very end, in the prediction for the future, that I'm going to get to it in a second. By the end of 2028, a group of 12 key figures will ascend, and it will begin with one ascending and guiding the elevation of 3 others by the end of 2026. Gradually, that number will increase to 12 new ascended ones by December 2028. They will become the key leaders to open the vibratory locking mechanism of the gate to the new earth. This will not be an accident, but was planned for many eons. The promise made long ago will finally be fulfilled. I am What I'm saying is that we are on the way. The fact that I have two in a close-knit community that have experiences that indicate that they've broken this glass ceiling and they are moving into a transcendental state is a pure indication that the time is correct. Okay? And the effort that you've been applying with the proper timing, meaning the positive karma and the time, are aligned to allow now this breakthrough to occur. I'm saying this, first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for doing this hard work, because it's very easy now to get distracted, particularly now that there is potential for a war brewing. And there are all kinds of things that are going on, and all kind of crazy rhetoric and fear that this may trigger. I am saying to all of you to remember the channeling, because all of that stuff is designed by the principality that are agitating both sides of these conflicts, which is to distract us from a period in which we can benefit the most to initiate our ascension. Because, okay, so Mercury retrograde ends on March 20th, but on March 31st, Jupiter, which is the planet that expands, that allow growth to occur. Jupiter had been on retrograde for over a year. Jupiter goes direct on March 31st, which means that whatever elevation or growth we begin to now create or initiate in this period, it's going to be sustained by the amplification power of Jupiter once it begins to go direct. I remember so clearly, by the way, when it took me several weeks to get this channel right. The first word that I heard was this sentence, and I was walking down the street when I heard it. Remember all words, stand fast in your spiritual practice, and align your consciousness to the cultivation of peace and neutrality. And I remember I was in the Meatpacking district. I was like, oh, the channeling is coming. I got to get home. And when I got home, I tried to sit down to connect to it. I couldn't hear it anymore. But 2 weeks later, it came back again. Stand fast in your spiritual practice and align your consciousness to the cultivation of the peace and neutrality, because they were talking initially in the channeling about all the chaos that are happening in the world, all of the distraction, and all of the things that could keep us out of truth, authenticity, and transparency. But they are saying that create peace and neutrality within you and radiate that to the world. It does not matter what external events seem to suggest. It repeated it again. Stand fast in your practice and radiate peace. Do not cower or change yourself because of outside pressure. Let this be your guide. If God were walking on my footsteps, what would he do? Remain true to the spiritual principles and follow your inner compass. Worry not about what others are doing. Listen and follow what God is telling you. Remain righteous. I am encouraging you to, I don't know to what degree I can say this, to whatever is happening in the world right now, planetarily, war or not war, you and I cannot control it. What we can do is that we can stand fast and remain in that spiritual practice to allow this ascension process, which is now at a critical moment, to continue and not be distracted like a dog seeing squirrel and running after it. Don't allow your consciousness to fly somewhere else, but remain with the practice, because it's at a critical moment to sustain it so that it will break all the glass ceiling that's holding your consciousness prisoner and bound into the Zerapin of the 3D. It's important for us to understand this because it's very easy to allow, because all of us live in the world, there is news channel, there's stuff on the internet, there is all things coming in your phone, and a little story of some kind can trigger you in the wrong way. And then you go somewhere, and your mind and your consciousness go somewhere else. You go back into the 3D, into the survival. I have to repeat this again. Although Darwin did some great work in cataloging, instincts and emotions and, human growth, he was half right. Yes, survival of the fittest is there. It exists in nature. But he didn't catalog the other half. He didn't talk about the other half, which is interdependence. Yes, that part exists because in nature, everywhere, you see it present. Species work with species because they see mutual benefit, that they both prosper when they cooperate and they become stronger. In our own physical body, our digestive system, the entire human digestive system is filled with positive bacteria and probiotics. And these organisms are not human. They are alien to us. But there is a symbiosis that without them we can digest food. So it is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, the idea of interdependence. and that interdependence can only occur when you, whatever conflict that you may have initially think that this is alien to me, I shouldn't approach it, you move, because neutrality is not a disconnect with injustices. It's accelerated conflict resolution. And you and I, all of us working in our close, tight group, are working on grounding the energy of neutrality. You see, neutrality exists in the universe everywhere. Neutrinos or quantum particle that do not interact with almost anything else. It's because the rest of the universe, or the rest of the world, or the physical world, exists in that top dog, bottom dog kind of mentality, that survival mentality. Whereas neutrinos and this idea of being 0.0 charge is something that it takes certain kind of spiritual maturity to get into. Thus, the practice of the Guardian Alliance of Light, the extraterrestrial Guardian Alliance of Light that we've gone over and over in previous classes, that practice is extremely important for us to understand that the entire collective of the Guardian Alliance of Light is composed of beings of all species. And I'm not talking about just humanoid, insectoid, bird people, aquatic, etc., etc. Even beings that are non-corporeal, that don't have any physical, they are more energetic than anything else. I'm talking about the Andromedan, the Larian, the Orion, the Arcturians. I'm talking about the Dracos. They're beings of all species that are in it. And what's the common ground? They exist in interdependence. They know that the only way forward is together. And they know that neutrality is the key. The conflict resolution, the acceleration of conflict resolution, and the idea of remaining in the rest and the peace of God. And what they do for us when we do the spiritual practice, the practice that they were talking about in the channeling, when we do the practice, is that they bring us into that neutrality. They share with us, because the first guardian come in 4D, right? And that 4D awareness and God that comes in is we say, and the first guardian approached us wanting to share with us their shields of light and protection and band of neutrality. The first one comes in at the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through our core. And as it moves through our core, and the way it moves counter-rotating, you can think of it as a funnel, but or a geyser, like, because it's not really a funnel, it's a geyser. So this comes from the core of the earth, counter-rotating until it moves through our core, exit outside of our head, and explode at the top of the fourth dimensional chakra system, which is the other babushka. Like, I'm in 3D, there's another me, more etheric, not physical, that is in the fourth dimensional body. So it passes through my physical seven chakra system, moves to my fourth dimensional chakra system, and then explodes. And as it explodes, the filament spread out and wrap around back into the core of the earth, creating a closed circuit all the way around me, creating a donut. So I am inside this donut. My core and the core of the donut are one, as this energy counter rotates. And of course, the next guardian, and I usually, when I'm doing this practice, I usually sit and take several breaths, okay? Because it allows me to acclimate myself to the gift, because what they're gifting me, what they're doing is that they're projecting, they're in 4D, they're projecting on top of my 3D self the neutrality that they know in the fourth dimension as an act of love and generosity. They're sharing with me the neutrality that they know. And as they do this, my awareness suddenly is no longer in 3D. I go to a bardo, or a transition from 3D into 4D. And I am becoming more extended. I can see the entire volume. And I want you to understand that you're not doing the torsion field. Okay? The guardian are doing the torsion field. You need to witness it as you become now consciously immortal. Instead of being unconscious tendency and emptiness, and every time we go to Bardo, we pass out and we find ourselves in the next state of consciousness. You're going to witness the whole thing. That's the goal. Every step of the way you're trying to remain conscious to witness it. You may pass out a moment while you're working on the practice, but when the end goal is that you're going to go, all 12 guardian will share with you their torsion field. You will go through the whole process completely conscious, but not conscious as in conscious in 3D. Your consciousness. Okay, the best way to describe this: Ascension is not omniscience. It's not you knowing everything. Ascension is not you having all the answers and having all the ascended masters around you and kumbaya with all of them. What ascension really is your consciousness extending outside of your physical body and inhabiting the higher world, and remain conscious of that connection, that your consciousness is now connected to the higher world, that the Father and you are one. Because the omniscience that we're talking about does not belong to Pierre or to any of you. It belongs to the blessed field. And when I need something, all I have to do in the 3D world that I see around me that I need, let's say peace or whatever it is, healing, or I just bring that thought, because now I'm cognizant that my identity has shifted. When you begin your ascension process, this is what happens when the glass ceiling breaks. You're no longer just human. You begin to be aware that you're now a spiritual or celestial being having a human experience. This is the difference. Right now, most of us walking around inside the Zerapin think we're just human. And we're bound and we're to the edge of our skin. But The practice of the torsion field allows your consciousness to elevate in a gradual environment. First guardian, second guardian, third guardian, etc. All the way back until you go back to the throne room of God. And when you get into that space, when you get so elevated and so above at that level, you now, and this is why I'm recommending you do it 3 times a day. Because if you keep doing it, repeating, what's going to happen is that the repetition, it's going to establish it so that your consciousness remain in awareness that I am like Metatron, or no, rather, like Xenophon, like Archangel Xenophon, whose nickname is the Lord of Extended Height. That I exist on earth and all the way, because he's the tallest archangel, his foot is on earth, but his head is into the throne room of God. And thus the nickname of Lord of Extended Heights. So we are allowing our consciousness through the practice of the torsion field. And that's why I'm saying take your time. Even if you do 2 or 3 torsion field, or 4, 5, or 6 of them completely, that's fine. You're practicing. This is the process of the cultivation. You're practicing. But keep doing it, and the next time you do 7, and the next time you do 8, and you keep practicing it. Sit down and let the entire process happen the way I'm describing. You're witnessing it. It counter-rotates. It's like a funnel. It moves through you. It goes outside of your head, the top of the 4-dimensional body, and the filament drops, and they wrap around, and then you can experience your consciousness inside the entire volume. Take a couple of breaths, experience it. Then let the guardian move with the next piece. Filament axis extends at the top of your head into the top of the next babushka, which is my 5th dimensional chakra system. Then at that point, the guardian comes, and instead of rotating counterclockwise, it rotates clockwise. And it comes in on top of the 5th dimensional body. It passes through all of the 5th dimensional chakra system, then passes to the 4th dimensional chakra system, and drops into the top of my head, moves to my core, goes into the core of the earth. Again, funnel. When it gets to the bottom, a core of the earth, it explodes again, and the filament wrap around again to close on top of the 5th dimensional chakra system and create again another torsion field on top of the first one. Now let your consciousness again become acclimated to that expansion. What does neutrality feel like by the gift of this guardian in the second guardian in 5D? What does neutrality feels like? What sensation, what perception, what expansion, what insight does this give you? By the time the 3rd guardian comes in, it's going to counter-rotate again and let them all nest on top of each other. Now, when you get, probably the fast you initially begin to do it, by the time you get to the 9th guardian, 10th guardian, it's going to be a little bit complicated to try to hold. It's like you're going to have multiple awareness to hold yourself into understanding everything that's going on. It might be a sensory overload for a few days or for a few moments, but you're going to get to a point where there is an energy signature that it will, when all of it is complete, that it will provide you. This is what in the channeling they call about spiritual rectitude and verticality. You're going to sense that you're so tall, but more importantly, that you exist in such an altered state from everybody else on earth that's running like Chicken Little. You're gonna realize that your identity has shifted and that you're not alone, that you and the blessed field are one. and all of the other stuff that are happening around you, although your heart is going to be open very wide and you're going to be very compassionate, but you will have also a lot of mercy, because one of the qualities of connecting to the blessed field is to realize that although I am touching a field of rest, because that's what it feels like when you finally get into it. It's like I am at rest. I'm completely surrendered and at rest with everything. And that rest permeates everything, all my dimensional body, all the way down. Everything is at rest. And thus, when you see other people around you in panic, that are concerned, that are worried, you can, by walking next to them, sometimes without even saying a word, your vibratory neutrality can begin to entrain them into remembering there is a different way for them to do this, because you and I share DNA with human beings. The neutrality that exists in fourth dimension and so on and so forth, and going higher, cannot alter human beings, because human beings are in such a mess of chaos that they will not accept it. We volunteer to come here in 3D so that we can work from within, because we share DNA with most human beings on the planet, everything that's alive, almost 99.99%. And because of this, we will transduce this sense of complete and utter rest to the rest of the world. And that's the service that we're going to provide. This is the way we're going to fulfill the promise that we made, the Dharma that we came here to fulfill, which is to share with the rest of the world the neutrality that we know, the interdependence, the realization to go to a higher world and to realize there is no reason for you to be in panic. The blessed feel, and when your awareness and your consciousness is so expanded, you are walking around and people bring, we're walking around, people think that they're bringing chaos. I'm so worried, and they are not talking to me physically, but they're talking to the blessed field directly through me. And a lot of time, by them bringing me, by me hearing it, because I'm connected, the field hears it. And as they are talking, the solution set, sometimes I don't have to even say it, the solution set in their life, all of a sudden they realize, oh my God, I now understand what I need to do. Blah. Ascension is not a moment of instant knowledge and blah, blah, blah. It is an awareness that you are much more than just a physical being. And that you and your connection to the divine are completely engulfed as one. And it is so, and there's such certainty in this, that even after the initial experience, you walk with that awareness continuously. And more importantly, when you remain in that awareness, if, for example, somebody asks you for healing or counseling or whatever it is that they're asking for, an advice, for coaching, when you begin to talk to them, it's not 3D you that's talking to them, but it's the God you. It's the celestial being you. It's you as a Lord of extended height. And there is tremendous humility in this, because let's say somebody asks me for help about a healing, and I bring the thought that the person had, the desired healing for very specific things. Let's say an elbow or their leg, their knees, whatever it is, and I bring that awareness into the field takes over. I have to bring an inkling, a tiny little proximity within the field of the intercession that I'm seeking for myself or for anyone else. The field take over. And the miracle that it creates usually comes in a way that my human brain could not ever have conceived. In fact, every time the miracle happens, I'm in shock. And this is when the humility comes in, that I realize I have no power. You would think that because you feel so connected to God, you will feel your ego will get inflated. It's no, it doesn't. Because you realize you don't have the power. And given all the work we did with emotional intelligence, it is my great hope that you won't have this, your ego will not get inflated. Because you will realize at that moment that I just had a vague passing thought about that or the other. And all of a sudden, and the more abstract and the more non-attached you are to the desire or the intention you're bringing into the field, the faster it will manifest. The more attached you are to it, the more you're trying to force it into creation, the longer it will take to create a wave function collapse and precipitate in the physical world. I wanted you, if anything in this class, I want you to understand this clearly. People have misunderstanding of what ascension is. They think that the moment it happens, they will be at a big banquet and all the ascended beings are going to be there. There might be experiences at moment that are like that, where you experience having conversation with the ascended masters, the angels. There might be a moment where there are these kind of experiences. But for the most part, what it is that it's a semi-permanent awareness. And I'm saying semi-permanent because we live in a 3D world. There are moments we're going to collapse back into a 3D body and feel what other human beings are feeling, which is moments of panic, moments of... And this is why I'm saying do the practice 3 times a day. Because if you continue to do the practice and going back into the various torsion field that are elevating you, you're gonna realize my consciousness is now in the 4th dimension. I'm experiencing neutrality in the 4th dimension. I'm experiencing neutrality in the 9th dimension. I'm experiencing neutrality in the 12th dimension. I'm experiencing neutrality in the 15th dimension. The moment you become in that state, it's very easy for you to go back into I am the Lord of extended height. Any questions, any comments?
Oh, probably too many questions, but
No, go ahead, please.
uh, lots of good information there, Pierre. I'm still a little bit uncertain, although we talked about it last week. So if I may repeat my uncertainty about the torsion field being created, not by us, of course, but by the extraterrestrial guardians alliance of light,
Mhm.
and we are just a witness.
Yes.
What part are we playing then? Do we just wait and let everything precipitate from one guardian to the next? Or do we initiate once the previous guardian is complete? Do we then initiate the next? I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Because
Yes,
when
yes, yes,
you
yes. Yeah, I
yeah.
know exactly what you're saying. It depends on the kind of time that you have, Janice.
Mm,
Okay? There are moments where I don't have a lot of time. I need to do the short version.
right. But if we're doing the longer version, do you still wait just for the next?
I wait until I feel comfortable in that the field and the entire rotation system, and I sense that I'm inside this volume and that my consciousness is comfortable in that volume. And once
Yes,
you
I
see what I'm saying?
understand.
And once that happens, I then begin, and by the way, there are times as well when I get so comfortable in that volume that doesn't matter what field I am in, what guardian, all of a sudden I blank out. I go somewhere else. I'm so I go so wrapped up in that dimension that I don't remember where I go. And then I come back again. Thank God I'm continuing with my fingers. I can remember. Oh, this is the fourth guardian. So therefore, it's the seventh dimension. Now it's the eighth dimension I need to move into. So what I do is that I usually ask, "Am I ready?" In my heart, I ask, "Is the next guardian ready?"
Ah, that's the thing. That's the part that I was missing.
Yes, yes. In my heart, I don't say it out loud, okay?
Right.
But in my heart, I ask myself, "Is the next guardian ready?" And then at which point, if they're ready, the axis extend or up or down, and then the next guardian comes in.
Right. And then I sort of, not out loud, but I sort of repeat the approach from the whatever dimensional body, clockwise or counterclockwise through the core, and then down to the center of the earth. So, but I don't direct the timing of it. I let that timing happen, but as it will, because sometimes they pause.
Yes. Sometimes they happen faster, sometimes they happen, it takes longer. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Mm.
You're absolutely right. And it has to do with the fact that your consciousness, the part of you that exists in that dimension, is trying to process and acclimate. Let's say it's the fourth guardian or the third guardian, which is 60. But the part of you that's 60 now might be taking having a smoke or drinking some tea or being on a walk. You understand? And it's not ready to process it as fast as you in the 5D.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand? So you need to give it time for it to do whatever it needs to do.
Okay, all right, I got it.
So even if you blank out for a second, it's because my 60 part of me was smelling at daisies. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't mean to be just like a joke, but they're part of you that takes longer to process this. And
Hmm.
it's part of the practice to allow it to happen. And when you come back to yourself and you say, okay, it's processed, and now is the next guardian ready?
Oh, but you say time for yourself to process it, like the 6D self.
The 60 self, yes, yes, yes.
Uh-huh. That's the part that has to be present in this transaction, uh,
Yes,
not a silent partner witnessing but not participating. So that part of you in 6D, for instance, has to be involved as well.
correct. In other words, remember when we are doing the monadic merger, we took the initiative to bring all the 143 other pieces of ourselves into our
Yes,
ascension process.
yes.
So my 3D self, who's now initiating the contact with the Guardian Alliance of Light, I am taking the initiative to bring my 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, or etc. self into alignment, into neutrality.
Mhm.
And I'm letting them learn in whatever timing, framing, uh, 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 speed that they need to learn. Sometimes some of them move very fast. Like for the longest time, it was the sixth guardian was the hiccup for me.
Mine too. And it just seemed like the torsion field just kept spinning around a certain part of the core of and it took sometimes quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was the 6D me or
No,
the
well,
3D.
the sixth guardian is actually the ninth. The sixth guardian is actually the. I'm sorry,
The third guardian is the 6D, right?
the 60. That's correct. That's correct. The sixth, and so it could be that there's a part of you that's again that's processing it very differently than the others, and your consciousness needs to acclimate and understand and own and whatever the timing is to say finally we are together, we got it. I know what it feels like to in that dimension to to exist in neutrality in that realm.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Good point. Thank you.
Okay, so again, I look forward to this because I guarantee you, when all of them are stacking up and you're really standing in that spiritual verticality, the experience is so. I don't have words to describe it because your identity shifts. You're not just human. You're actually a celestial being having a human experience.
Mm.
And you're aware of this when you walk around down the street to go to the grocery store to buy apple or oranges. You're aware of this when you're crossing the street. You're aware of this when you're interacting with your friends and your family. Not in an egotistical kind of way, but in an awareness that I am so much more. And I'm aware of so much more. And there are all these nuances, all these. You remember I was talking about in one class a few weeks ago about this idea of being a magnetiseur
Mm-hmm.
with Mesmer. At this point, you're a master magnetiseur because you can feel all the energies around you. Because your consciousness can comfortably traverse, stay in the 3D or traverse all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Ascension really looks like. And the gifts and the knowledge, it exists in the universe all around you. And you can access them at any moment. It doesn't exist in your head. Your brain would explode because it wouldn't be able to contain it.
Or Pierre, sometimes when you, I mean, I won't say sometimes when you, but sometimes I see colors,
Mm-hmm.
Me
uh,
too.
blue or
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things, and I just let it, you know, let it be. I mean, I just see it, and
Yep.
mhm.
And sometimes I see landscape that I cannot describe in
Yes,
3D.
yeah.
People are always saying that's I see a flower, I see a river. A lot of time that's not what I see. I see things that look like a kaleidoscope.
Mhm. Oh,
I feel not only I see, but I feel and see at the same time.
mhm.
I not only see the colors and the swirling or whatever it is that's happening, my consciousness zoom into things and then zoom out. I'm and when that happens, just go along,
Mhm.
acclimate,
Mhm.
learn, because it's a new language. Your consciousness is not used to this. You're going away from being a singularity, a point in time and space, to being now a plurality that is trying to comprehend being everywhere at the same time. In fact, not just everywhere, but in multiple dimensions at the same time.
Mhm. Mhm.
And of course, a lot of time when I do healing with hands-on healing with clients, they're always asking me because they have very vivid visions, and a lot of time they're asking me, uh, and I have sometimes had vision too. And a lot of times we after the healing, the physical healing is done, we usually have what I call a debriefing, where I sit them down and we talk about they talk about what they experienced, what they felt, and I talk about what I felt when I'm giving the healing. And a lot of times they ask me what I saw. I can't describe it because I don't have a vocabulary, no adjective to describe it. Particularly when it's coming, it's multisensory. It's not only a color, but it's a sensation in my body. And
Right.
sometimes it's feeling an emotion that I don't think I ever felt before. And part of the reason why you know there's a feeling there, but you can't describe it. A lot of time the feeling is 2 to 3 feelings that are combined together. So what I'm trying to say, ascension itself is the beginning of the journey.
Ascension being the awareness
Yes.
that you mentioned.
Yes.
So one doesn't leave the body necessarily, although you've
No.
spoken of people who have ascended, like your former teacher,
Yeah.
who did leave the body, but it isn't necessary to do so. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct. You don't need to leave the body at all. In fact, my teacher ascended. Well, he way before he left the planet, he had already ascended. Okay. And it was an agreement that he finally made that it was time for him to work on a higher thing, on the higher realm, and it was his time here was done. The lesson he needed to learn, the stuff he needed to give, he already gave them, and it was time for him to go. So you in your how's the best way to describe this? The feel as you're doing this practice, particularly allowing your consciousness to go in the various torsion field, is extremely forgiving and will teach you. Let's say you get stuck with something. I'm giving you an example. A lot of times, for example, somebody asks me to do something, or I have something personal in my life that I need guidance or I need help with. Okay? And I'm asking and I'm asking, and I come up with a sentence that I think is the key sentence I'm going to drop in the blessed field. When I arrive there and I try to bring the sentence in, the first day I bring it in, but something in my core is telling me it doesn't seem to go well. It's not going. It doesn't feel smooth. It doesn't roll off the tongue. Okay? It feels like it's solid. It doesn't feel like I yield and it goes right in. Because that feeling of surrender and yielding, the moment that happens, it goes in. You know the energy goes in and the intention went in. But if you're feeling it's solid, it's like I don't think it's there. By the second or third day, the field itself comes back to me and said, refine this. This is what you really mean. Change this, take this out. It teaches me how to rewrite or reformulate the intention. A lot of the teachings that even the torsion field teaching, even everything that I've ever channeled, written, came in that manner. I am not a translator in the sense that everything happened all at once and it flows, from God and from the Ascended Masters and perfectly. It doesn't come perfectly that way. It actually comes drip by drip, and it comes a lot of time imperfect. And the next day when I connect again and to try to repeat it, all of a sudden there's a correction made. No, Pierre, not this. Shift this and make it this way. Do it that way. The feel is going to teach you. It's going to refine the connection, and it's going to teach you and make you better. Everything that I'm teaching you now, whether it is any saying that I'm saying in the meditation, I release all attachment, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Those sentences took something like a month and a half to get. It came, I release all attachment. And then I'm like, no, it's not complete. Something else is missing. And then again, as I told you, my gift is that I listen well. When I go into that field and I hear the pitch, I listen so carefully that that other missing part floats and comes back to me. And if I have a misconception because I misunderstood something, and you have to understand, when you're hearing auditory gifts or clairaudience, when you're getting spiritual clairaudience, it's complicated, because I think it was James Edward who had said it. It's like a voice coming from a car that's running at 50 miles an hour yell out a window something to you. He's right. That's exactly what it is. You hear part of the word. If you're lucky, you might hear the whole thing. But most of the time, you hear part of it, and the rest you have to interpret. You have to kind of like grapple and say that's what he meant or not meant. That's what they were trying to say to me or not say to me. That's why even the channeling that I did with the Guardian Alliance of Light, it took like about 3 days for the channeling to come. There is a rough version that comes, or part, one chunk. The next day I go back and I go meditation again, connect with the Guardian, and I read it again. As I read it, they clarify, expand this portion. You didn't get what we were trying to say here. Clarify this, shift this, move that. And then they continue until the channeling is complete. The field is very forgiving because it's trying to teach you. And when you're completely in that spiritual gratitude and verticality, the teaching happens much faster. And it happened faster, and the miracle happened faster, the more non-attached you are to the outcome. So we need to understand and shift our expectation about what ascension is. A lot of people think that the moment they ascend, they're going to walk with Jesus and Mother Mary and all of that and so forth. Yes, these beings are accessible to you. They will come to you, they will connect with you. You can still have these conversations. But that's not what ascension really is. Those are just the fringe benefit, the company that you keep. It is about you becoming aware that your consciousness is not just human, but you now have become homo luminous. You shifted from being homo sapien to being into becoming a homo luminous.
Would I be right in saying that this is one of the ascension shifts that would take place in the course of eons of time, that there might be multiple ascensions?
Absolutely, there are different levels of ascension. Correct.
Uh-huh.
This is why I had said a little bit earlier that ascension is the beginning of the journey. There are multiple ascension levels. For example, Dr. Stone was ascended in 1989 with his core group, and later on left the planet in 2005. But where he is now in the inner plane, he's eyeing his next solar ascension.
Hmm.
And this is true of Master Dracul, El Moria. All of them are eyeing their next ascension level.
So if you're, so at our particular ascension, we are becoming aware of being more than human.
Yes.
For those who have already passed that level and more, they have that different awarenesses than.
Yes. They're becoming aware that they are no longer just human, that they are now going to be solar beings.
Right. So it's not any longer even
No.
luminous, but
Yes.
beyond. Uh-huh.
Beyond that. And from solar into galactic, from galactic into multi-universal, and into the cosmic, into and on and on and on.
Wow. I cannot fathom it.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, it's amazing.
And do we recall, or that coming back and knowing that? Do you think?
You mean for reincarnation? Is that what you mean?
Yes, yes. I
Hopefully,
mean,
Bobby, my hope for you is that you don't need to reincarnate here again.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
If we do everything right, you don't need to reincarnate here. We can be conscious. We can get to a point where we move consciously, immortally
Okay.
from this us becoming a homo luminous to
Mm-hmm.
us becoming taking solar initiation, then galactic initiation,
Got it.
while we are conscious and moving all the way through.
Okay. Great.
We
Okay.
don't need to have the amnesia.
Right. Right.
The
Right.
amnesia happen when you're unconscious and tendency floating in emptiness. Like the Dalai Lama and a lot of the Tibetan masters who've worked on this for a long time, they transition when they return back on Earth for missions, because a lot of people come back here for mission, for special missions.
Right.
As fully like somebody like Amma, as a fully ascended being, like a god, she's the incarnation of a goddess, and as a Devi, she comes back here, but she comes back here with full awareness of who she is.
Right. Okay.
And uh, when, let us say, a solar or galactic ascension is taking place, those beings may incarnate, but not as a physical being, right? In other words, are they always non-physical? Oh, that's not the right question. I don't know what to call something that's no longer purely spirit or energy,
Well,
but
sometimes for special mission. For example, right now, with everything else that's going around the world, there are three major amas, or the ama is a term for mother. There are three major divine mothers who are physically incarnated around the earth now, trying to stop us from blowing ourselves up. Okay? You have Amachi, you have Amakarunamai, and you have Mother Mary. And there are other male figures that are doing the same thing as well. And these are beings that are at the cosmic level who come back here for the simple reason that they know we are in danger and we're crossing a tenuous bridge where they want us to have safe passage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to read from the channeling. They even talked about it in the channeling. They talk about there are many. Hold on, I'm gonna look for that section. Beloved, fear not, for there are many divine personages positioned around the world who are actively working to guide humanity through this transit with greater ease. They are working with students and adepts to usher in a collective intercession for the evolutionary growth of humanity. And as you stand in your peace, these chosen individuals will stand out as the true planetary leaders who will guide humanity into safe passage into the new earth. Remember, and those are all in cap, you're not alone. And I find this extremely reassuring, particularly at the crossroad the planet is in right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're not alone. And I surrender whatever the world, the crazy leaders are doing at this moment into these divine personages that are incarnated right now. And we ask them for intercession so that we don't do anything stupid. So you're right, sometimes the divine personage in their ascension process, they come back here for a reason, for a special mission. And it's a one-time thing. They're coming back to do something, and then it helps them on their ascension on the next piece. And I have to tell you something else. In order for somebody like El Moria to elevate and take his solar initiation, he needs to find a replacement on the spiritual government of the planet for the role that he's playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So one of us have to elevate and replace him in order for him to move to the next position. I'm going to give you an example. In 1989, at the no 1987 at the Lord Sanat Kumara, who was the planetary logos, elevated and became Viwemos, took another position as a galactic being. What replaced him was Gautama Buddha, became now our planetary logos.
Mm.
The position cannot remain vacant. Somebody in the current ascended community has to move in to take the position.
When we ascend,
Yes.
do we need somebody to take our place?
It's assuming that we really are playing an important role. When you okay, these ascended masters are playing. Think of being a president or being a judge or being. It's an office.
I got you. So only at that point where your assignment, so to speak, is a certain level of
Yes.
importance, and
Yes.
so yes, okay. So, but for those like El Moria or others that are making their ascension, they are then more prone to want to help those that are to follow to take their place,
Yes.
probably.
And when, whomever has become their at this point probably El Moria has a lot of disciple in his inner ashram that he's training and grooming to replace him at some point.
Okay.
It's not left per chance. There's a system in place.
Hmm.
Each of these masters have a whole bunch of disciple and adept that they are working privately, and in your dreams they are working with you, depending on your race structure. They are working with you.
The immensity of this is mind-boggling, isn't it?
What I want you to, yes, it is, but what I want you to understand, and what I want all of you to understand for this class, is this: it is your identity that will transform and change first with the torsion field practice.
Mhm.
You're going to get to a point where you're going to understand yourself as being so vast and so immense and so tall. And the moment that happens, you are the first. You begin your ascension. The glass, because your awareness, you're not going to be in it 100% of the time, but for most of the time you're going to be in it because it ebbs and flows. There are days where it's there, there are other days where, but if you're continuing to do the practice over a period of time, you're going to pass a point where it's going to be there as a permanent thing. So the initial time as you're ascending, it's going to be a sine wave. But there comes a point where it's going to be, okay, this is who I am. I am not just a singularity, but I'm aware that I am plurality and I exist everywhere simultaneously.
Yeah, there's a question I have then
Yes.
is okay. Um, okay, let me see if I can get it out. Um, an ascended person, a being, okay, when they okay, I'm just gonna say transform from this physical being, to I guess the energetic being, the true energetic being,
Mm-hmm.
without the physical, constructs. Okay, what then, and then there is a choice if they want to come back to serve in a specific role. They can, I guess there are conditions that they can make that choice to do that in service of, the greater entity. When a person that has not, or a being that has not completed this process leaves this body
Hmm.
and they come back, is that a choice too?
It is an opportunity for them because they have not achieved ascension and therefore they're not consciously immortal. It's an opportunity for them in the next life to work out the kinks that they didn't figure out before. And
Oh,
honestly, to the universe, it doesn't matter because there's no time, there's no space.
oh,
So whether you take 10,000 years or 2 years, to the universe, it makes no difference. To you and I, it may make a difference, but to the universe, it doesn't matter. And and one has to be very careful in trying to place a judgment call in saying that this one is ascending faster than that one, and so on and so forth, because the sometimes the person who takes the longest release more light than the one that that actually gets there faster. What I mean by that, it's the differential, particularly for people, let's say, for example, in this lifetime, people who are, let's say, the leaders of the world who are creating the chaos in this world, who are not going to go to where we're going. Clearly, they are not on our bus. They desire different things. And wherever they're going to go in order for them to work out and evolve and become wise being and ascend. But if perchance one of them in this lifetime that were on the path that they are now were somehow to manage to turn around like this and ascend, they would release more light than you and I can. Because they're coming from such negativity. Let's say if you and I, or let's say, I'll say +3 or +6, they're coming now as -15. And if they're able to go now and ascend and become +12, the differential is so great they will release more light in the world.
okay.
So, it, to answer your question more specifically, the people who need to come back because of their karma and what they need to work out, and they need to return and they need to come back to the universe, there is no judgment call, there is no better or worse. It's a question of, because karma is about correction and repair, and as long as the correction and repair is done and you elevate, that's all that there is. That's the goal for all beings. Even the fallen angel themselves are on that same trajectory. Because I have met in this lifetime beings that were, they look like human, but they were ascended aspects of fallen angels. And I was told this by my guide, and I'm like, what do I do? And I remember very specifically, my guide laughed and said, what did you think neutrality was? This man is not just a priest for this fallen angel, because that's what he told me. He said, my guide said, he is an incarnated aspect of that angel who is battle fatigue and is seeking neutrality. My jaw dropped. You should have seen me. My mouth just got open. I was like, huh?
Okay, let me tease this a little bit further
Yeah.
because one of my okay, let's stay with the okay, with the person that the being that that, and it's not about time. I was getting at really the essence or energetic bodies that they bring back with them.
Mhm.
Um, so if your journey here is incomplete when you come back, you bring part of that energetic body with you,
Yes,
give you the opportunity to complete it.
yes,
Okay, that's what I was.
yes, absolutely. So many of my clients, everyone that I try to heal, a lot of time the part of them that has the discomfort, the challenge that they're facing physically in their body, it comes from past lives
Yeah, that was the part I
because
was.
something was not completed, something was not corrected the right way.
Yeah. And the first time I remember really experiencing that was in your class when you did the past lives
Mm.
class,
Mm-hmm.
and Marjorie was being guided.
Yep.
And then I found out that I was there with Marjorie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And and it was like, I mean, it was like you're really there,
Yep.
even though it was 1,000 years ago.
Yep. Yep.
In your physical energetic body, you still have that printed,
Yep.
I guess, experience or whatever that was
Yep.
that you're still carrying.
And here is the thing: the people you were with, you will attract them in your life somehow. They will come in your circle of influence because that's the way the karma gets rebalanced.
All right, thanks.
Okay. You're welcome. Any other questions or comments?
I do have one question, if I may.
Sure.
The interdependence that
Yes.
you mentioned with neutrality being being key. I'm wondering about, is it the interdependence of the aliens, so to speak, in quotation marks, beings from the extraterrestrial guardian alliance of light? Are they the uh, alien, so to speak, beings in whom we are with whom we are independent, interdependent, or are we in company of others in a physical body who are not of our I don't want to say species, but who are not of our path, and yet we have an interdependence with them somehow. I was a little uncertain how that was working out.
Interdependence means that you're interdependent. You realize that the way forward is together. That
Okay,
that God is in everything, and an aspect of that exists even in the rock. Okay, and that the rock, crystals and plants and rock grows over time, long period of time, but they grow, they evolve. So there is interdependence that's connected to all of that. And so to realize that it's not about you and your consciousness exerting its ego and trying to conquer and dominate everything, but that your behavior, your interaction with everything in the universe requires that you acknowledge that you're interdependent with everything around you.
okay. So it isn't the bacteria in the probiotic that's a different alien that we're interdependent with necessarily. It isn't that kind of dichotomy. It could be people of like mind, but we're still just connected and interdependent with them.
Or for that matter, people of other races, other colors, other extraterrestrial. We are interdependent. In other words, God is in everything. And since we are a plurality, we are also inside of the other being that we think is different than us.
Mhm.
And
I,
that's where the accelerated conflict resolution comes in, when you begin to realize I am not looking at something that's alien to me. It's me. It's a
I
different
do,
version of me.
I do have a kind of a habit when I'm on the subway or walking in the street in Manhattan, and I'm all, of course, surrounded by so many people. I, I, I project or think about how we are really one
Mm,
with each and every one of them, and it no longer separates me from them,
mm.
or even though they could be very different,
Yep.
I'm somehow amused that we're one still.
Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yep. Beautiful.
Sometimes it helps for those who are offending you as well.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, this is sometimes I see a couple. I mean, it is in New York. Today there were some crazy men that was like going through the garbage, throwing things out, and I'm like, well, there must be an aspect of me that's going through something. I'm staying away from him, but it's an aspect of me that's going through something.
Right. Oh, it's fascinating. Thank you.
All right, let's take a 5 minute break and then we'll do the closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. And the guardian alliance of extraterrestrial guardian alliance of light approach you, offering to gift you their shields of light and protection and a band of neutrality. If you're ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively. And let the energy of the first guardian come in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating. Moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the fourth dimensional body. While creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The axis at the top of my head extends. And it attracts now the energy of the second guardian. Coming in from the top of my fifth dimensional chakra system. Descending into the top of my head as it rotates clockwise. Passing through my core. Exiting at the bottom of my feet. And going into the core of the earth while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends. And it attracts now the energy of the third guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going upward into the top of the sixth dimensional chakra system, and creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts down the energy of the fourth guardian, rotating clockwise, coming in from the top of the seventh dimensional body, passing and dropping into the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth. While creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends, and it attracts now the energy of the fifth guardian, counter-rotating, coming in from the core of the earth, passing through the bottom of my feet, moving through my core, exiting outside of my head, and climbing into the top of the eighth dimensional body, while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the sixth guardian, coming in as it rotates clockwise into the top of the ninth dimensional body, dropping down into the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth, while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the seventh guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 10th dimensional body, while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 8th guardian coming in from the top of the 11th dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the 9th guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 12th dimensional body, while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The axis at the top of my head extends, it attracts down the energy of the 10th guardian, coming in at the top of the 13th dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing into the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going to the core of the earth while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the 11th guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 14th dimensional body while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I am in the rest and stillness of God. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 12th guardian, coming in from the top of the 15th dimensional body and the throne room of God, rotating clockwise, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, going into the bottom of my feet and into the core of the earth while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I am in the rest and stillness of God. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
I feel like this is my holy day when we have two classes.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, Bobby. I'm so happy for you.
Oh,
Well, I
oh,
want to thank all of you for being with me and being on this great journey, shoulder to shoulders together. Very exciting what we're doing, and I'm very much aware of the communication today, and be, be very aware of the identity shift as you move and elevate and begin to understand yourself now as being outside of your body, as a bigger and larger being. And once that happens, ascension begins. God bless all of you. Thank you for subscribing and following. Love you all, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Pierre. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
oh.